Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. I'm so sorry about starting this late. I can see you've all been busy in the live chat, so hopefully there was some good conversation going on. I have not had a chance to read any of this, so I'm scrolling through it now. Alright, so I was supposed to have a very brief conversation, and it turned into a almost 2-hour meeting. So that's why I started late. I thought I would have plenty of time to get started or to get ready for the stream, but it didn't happen like that. So I guess as asking how the meetings were. Actually, the meetings they were basically about all the projects that we're going to be doing for the next year. I shouldn't say all of them. I'm sure some other things will come up, but I have a much better idea about what I'll be working on and how that main website. So I mentioned a few days ago the main university website, franciscan.edu. We'll be completely redoing that, front end and back end. I have a much better, clearer picture of what's wanted for that and what the design's going to be like. So I'll be sharing that with you in future streams. But I know we sketched out some things on a whiteboard. I took a picture of it so I wouldn't forget. So we'll be working on it. But it was a long meeting, but we sorted quite a few things out. One thing that we are going to be working on within the next 2 weeks or so, and we'll see. Maybe I'll do it on a stream, maybe I won't. It depends on if you all are interested. We're going to try to take... So the main website right now has an event system that's really hard to work with in terms of adding the content for the events. So we're going to take... I may as well give you something to look at while we're talking about this. Franciscan.edu. Alright, so what we're going to do, not in this stream, but in the next week or so, we're going to redo the events so that we'll use some third-party system. So here's right now how the events show up. And there are other places throughout the website that these events show up. For now, I think we'll just worry about this spot, but we're going to remove all of this and replace it, and instead we're going to pull events from some other system. So it may be a Google Calendar, it might be Eventbrite, it may be a custom post type from a WordPress installation. However, so someone else in my department is in charge of entering in the data for these events. Whatever they decide is going to be the best system for them, that's going to save them as much time as possible, we're going to work with that system. So I don't know what it'll be right away, but it's going to be something that definitely it has to have an API. So we're going to replace all of this with whatever that system is. That's going to hopefully free up some time for this other person, and they're going to learn React. They're actually going to do a clone of our Project 1, the Catechetical Institute website. They're going to do a clone of that, and they're going to use that for another university website. And in the process, hopefully they're going to learn React, so we'll have somebody else in my department that can do React sites. So my job in the next week or two is to free up their time by making this event system a lot easier to work with. So that's coming. If you're interested in that, then let me know. I'll try to stream when we do that. So let me know. We'll see. I'm still undecided as to whether it'll be worth it to stream. Okay, so today, I don't know. What did I say we were going to do today? Passport? Yeah, PassportJS. Okay. I'm just briefly checking the live chat to see if there's anything I should address right away before we get started. Okay. I'll probably be missing a lot of things since I'm skimming through so quickly, but it looks okay. It doesn't look like there's anything here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start my 25-minute Pomodoro timer. If you've asked a question, I will get to it after we do our first coding session of 25 minutes. I'll take a 5-minute break, and then I'll start going through questions. No matter what, at the end of the stream, I'll go through all the questions. So please don't feel like you're being ignored if I haven't answered your question yet. I'm just going to break it up a little bit and get to the questions a little bit later. So hang in there, and I will try to answer your question. At first, here's what I think we're going to do. Harshit has added a pull request that did a lot of work to the server. So before we try to implement anything with PassportJS on the server, we're better off merging that in. I think that'll be much easier to handle, to do it that way instead of trying to handle all the merge conflicts that will happen. So I've already pulled down, I'm going to double check and make sure that nothing's been added to his pull request, but otherwise, earlier I've already pulled it down as a separate branch, so it shouldn't be that hard to just merge it in right from the command line. So on my other screen I have his pull request open. I'm just verifying that the last commit, let's see when the last commit was. Okay, so there has not, it looks like there has not been another commit since the last time I pulled everything down, so that's great. Okay, so let me bring this over then so y'all can see it. Let's see. So I was about to do it anyway. Okay, check out this form. So briefly, we'll give this a look, and let's see. So you can see we have some extra things here. We're doing, we have an email.js file that's handling sending the emails from our form. Also attachments. The app.js file in the server has a lot of extra stuff in there too, using Multer to handle form data. We have fetch working in here, so we have some stuff set up. I can't remember how much of this was from a previous pull request and how much was this last one, so maybe going over some stuff that we've already seen. But I had a little bit of trouble getting things to work. I don't think it had anything to do with any of the code. I think it had something to do with me setting up an account to handle the mail. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this in. But if you happen to clone this repository and it doesn't work for you when you try to submit the form, I'm aware that something's wrong with the way I'm doing it. So as soon as I figure that out, then I'll let you know. I wasn't, Harshit had given me some suggestions for how to troubleshoot that, but I've been in meetings for 3 hours straight, so I have not been able to even attempt to troubleshoot. So anyway, I had an issue, but I just really didn't have time to try to fix it, so I'm not that worried about it. Let's see. All right, let's merge this in. So I'm just going to double check and make sure I don't have anything in master that should have been merged. Okay, great. We're up to date. I'm going to go back to the master branch and I'm going to run a Git Merge. And I'm going to merge in this branch which contains all the work that Harshit did and merge it into master. There we go. I think I already brought everything in in terms of the packages, but I'm going to run yarn again just to be sure. Yep, and we're good. So make sure that you do that. If you bring in this latest code locally to your machine, be sure to run an npm install or yarn, because there's quite a few packages that have been added. Okay, great. So now that we have that in there, we can get to work on, actually, let me push that up. There we go. Just want to make sure that I push that so in case you all want to get the latest code pulled down on your machines, you'll have it now. And let's see. Where am I at? Let me bring over, let's see. I'm trying to, I have a lot of stuff open, a lot of windows on my other screen, so I'm just a little cluttered, and I didn't have a chance to unclutter things before the stream. Okay, here it is. Alright, so let me bring this over. This is the GitHub repo for PassportJS, which is what we're going to be using, so you can check that out if you like. I'll paste in the live chat the link, and that way you can go right there if you want to look at it. And also, here's a link to the main site and to the docs. So we'll be going off looking at these docs. I know this is really small. I'll zoom in a bit, but this is the PassportJS.org site. So here's what we need to do, though. The way, at least from what I've read so far, the way PassportJS works is that there are a lot of these extra modules that you can use depending on what kind of authentication you want. So we need to come to a decision about what we want to do with authentication. And I have an idea what I want to do, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to run some things by you all and see what you think, and if anyone has any input. So currently, let's see. Currently, we at the university use, for all the accounts, I believe it's Active Directory, and right now the single sign-on system that all the other university stuff is tied into, but not the bulletin that we're working on, I think is using, I'm going to say SAML. It's SAML. I'm not really sure how people say that normally. I've only ever read it. But I don't currently have all the information I need to implement that system. I think the best case scenario would be to get on that same system, and then all user accounts will be handled by the IT department, which would be really nice. It would all be one system, and I think that would be what's best for the users, and then that would be what's best for me as well, and not having to continually perform maintenance tasks to make sure everybody can log in and handle support calls about login issues, which is fine, but that's not really what my position is supposed to do. I'd much rather spend time building new things. So I'm not sure how on board IT is with sharing the information I need to bring that into the system. I'll need to do some more work in terms of talking to people before I can get to that point. So I'm wondering if I should just go ahead and implement all the code and assume that I'm going to get the information that I need at sometime in the next few days. I mean, meaning like next week. Or should we try to use some other type of basic system, assuming that maybe we won't be able to tie into the university system, and so we'll have to do something else on our own? I'm not sure. So basically, the choices as I see it is start building it out to use SAML, hoping that we get the other information we need from the IT department to finish that at some point next week, or do we just pick a different system for users to be able to log in and implement that, and then if we eventually get information from IT, we can switch over to something else, but for now we could do something different. So if anybody has any opinions on that, let me know. I'm going to give it maybe like 30 seconds, a minute, just to get some feedback. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to flip a coin or something. I'm going to have to figure it out. I guess if you need some more info on what I need to do is, basically what I need is only people who work for the university should be able to log in. I don't have access to a list of all the people who work for the university. The best I have is that somebody who has a university email, and if I could verify that they actually have access to that email by sending an email link, that's the only way that I can do this at this point. So whatever I do, I need it so that the bulletin is only accessible by people with a franciscan.edu email address. So something like a passwordless login with an email link is what we're using right now through a different system. I want to switch. I haven't. The system I'm using currently hasn't been 100% reliable, so I don't want to do it the exact same way, but if we could figure out some way to use an email link, passwordless login, that'll work for now, and then I guess we could hope that we can tie it in a better way later on. Let's see. All right, I'm going to check out the live chat now and see what you all think. Okay, passwordless. Okay, so we do have passwordless login. Some of you are saying we should do passwordless. Okay, Sebastian says, if it were me, I wouldn't even try to do any type of login until you are sure of what you need and what you can use. Yeah, I mean, that's not really a bad idea. I feel like we're getting to the point where I need to start doing something with this, because in terms of the project itself, we have all the main pieces there. We just have a couple more UI things to work out, but I think we're getting close to this being, usable. I mean, it currently is usable. It's not perfect, but it fulfills all the requirements that we need right now at this point. And the last requirement left is to make sure that users have to be authenticated to access this site. So that's why I just want to kind of move on with it one way or another. Okay. Okay, it was Umberto says, that's how I implemented our HR web portal. In register screen, Active Directory, pool email address, or no user entry allowed. Interesting. Okay, cool. Harshit actually has a link to a passport passwordless. Great. You know what? I thought there was a passwordless module. I was looking for it yesterday, but I couldn't find it in their list of modules on their website. There's like 300 modules on their website though, and I was just scanning through, so I probably just missed it. Let's see. but I was pretty sure that I had seen the passwordless login system used with Passport before in a tutorial that I saw probably months ago. Let's see. Okay, so I see this npm Passport passwordless. Do they have a GitHub? Usually there's a link to the GitHub right there, but I don't see it. Here we go. Alright, so I found it. Great. So I found the GitHub repo for this. Let me pull this over. Let's check this out and see if this will work. Actually, I see a lot of activity in the live chat too, so let's see. Okay. Let's see. Alright, let me see. Umberto's explaining how he set this up. So let me go through some of this stuff as well. There's just been a lot in the live chat within the last 30 seconds or so. Okay, so Umberto's saying send a verification email and then add user to identity server or identity store. Then the next time they access the system, if they are registered, it uses AD via Windows login to authenticate and authorize. Okay. Cool. I mean, that's what I really want to do. I just don't have I don't really have information or access to what we're currently doing with AD, with Active Directory. Okay, so it looks like Harshit saying there are two different ones here. So there's just passwordless, and then there's a passwordless. He's recommending to use the one that's just passwordless. Okay. I guess we could check that one out as well. Okay, so I'm looking at this passwordless as well. Okay, interesting. Here's another thing to keep in mind. And I don't know the answer to this. I'm asking. So right now we're comparing these two different modules. One works with Passport. The other one it looks like just works on its own. It's not tied in with Passport. What I hope will happen is at some point we'll switch away from this and we'll actually be tied in more closely with the single sign-on system that the university is using. If that's the case, would it be better now, even let's assume for a second that this passwordless is better than Passport passwordless? Even if that is the case, would it be better to just implement this Passport passwordless, knowing that we're going to switch to some other Passport solution, maybe Passport SAML or something like that. I don't know. I'm wondering what opinion you all have on that. I actually already have an email.js account set up, so it wouldn't be that hard to put that in. Okay. Okay, let's check this one out briefly, and let's see. Okay, so it looks like a few of you are saying in the live chat here that if I do plan on switching to use SAML with Passport, then maybe I should set it up just to use Passport right now. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. I just looked through the Passport password list. I just want to take a brief glance at this password list repository, just to see if anything stands out that could be a deal breaker. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I didn't really see anything in either one that makes me really want to choose one or the other. I mean, just looking at the documentation, this one seems a bit more simple. It could be that just it doesn't explain as much in the documentation though too. So, all right, let's see. All right. Okay, Harshit says we should check out passwordless.net. Okay. Just to keep in mind as well, I'm just going to throw this up here. This is what I was thinking of using, Passport SAML. So if anybody's interested in checking that out, I'm hoping at some point that we implement this or something like it. So I can throw the link in as well into the live chat. Harshit says you can also send SMS with it. The SMS thing is cool, but I can't use the SMS right now because it has to be the email. So I wouldn't be able to use it because the email is the only way I can really make sure that it's somebody that works at the university because they have an active university email account. Okay, let me take a break now and answer some questions. We didn't actually get any code worked out, but as soon as I make a decision, we will get some code. Let's see. All right. Oh, okay. All right, Blake says, could you link their email to their phone number? Actually, that's interesting. That might be possible. I'll consider that. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to scroll up and try to go through and answer some questions. It looks like, yeah, I don't have everything that was in the live chat, so it cut off. So if you ask something closer to like the very beginning of when the stream was supposed to start, I can't see it anymore. So I'm sorry about that. But if you asked a question early on, you may want to put it in there again because I can't see it. Alright. Xavier at some point says his face in the thumbnail looks like mine when I'm coding. So yeah, I have a confused thumbnail for the video. I thought it looked funny. I thought I'd put it in there. Cool. Anna said, "I like your stream." Thanks. It's good to see you in the live chat. I haven't seen you in the chat for a few days, so welcome back. Okay, Harsha says, "I found a site named Vultr, VULTR. It's like DigitalOcean, but offers double resources for the same amount of money. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. Thank you. All right, Cat D asks, how long since you learned coding? I've been, I guess, seriously doing JavaScript for about 3 years now. In terms of just building websites, it's been about 5 years. I first learned about building websites when I was in high school, so somewhere around the year 2003, I think. And then I did some stuff in college, just like some C++, just really basic. Like I built a calculator in C++, so nothing too crazy. And then I didn't really work that much with coding, until about 5 years ago. So if you want to know more, I have a video on my channel. It's linked in the description to this video, and I think the video is called How I Became a Front-End Developer. So you can check that out if you want a little bit more in-depth explanation. Albert asks what application I'm doing. Basically, we're doing a React app, and it's a university bulletin, so it's going to have a login system, and then once you log in, you'll be able to see a lot of different announcements, download attachments, submit your own announcements. I think what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what it's going to do. Let's see. Cat D says 3-hour meeting sounds too long. Yeah, well, it was actually 2 different meetings. So the first meeting was about an hour long, and then the second meeting, which I thought was only going to be a few minutes, ended up being almost 2 hours. So yeah, it ended up being a long time. Okay. And the worst part of the whole thing about all the meetings is I'm super hungry. I thought I'd have time to eat before I stream, but I didn't. So, like, my stomach is just killing me. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna go back and do some more coding. All right. Here's what I'm gonna do, and I'll give you my reason as well. I really like passwordless. It looks good, but I'm not going to use it for this stream because I put in my tweet about this stream and in the title for this stream that I would be using Passport. So since I can't decide between the two of them, I'm just going to use that as my deciding factor. I mean, there's also the benefit that I'm probably going to switch up and implement some of the other Passport solutions as well. So I think that does give me a little bit more freedom that I could potentially implement multiple solutions from Passport if I wanted to at some point. So that's why I'm going to go with that. I appreciate all the suggestions from everyone, and I may use them. Like, I might end up using passwordless in a future project, or who knows, maybe this project if this doesn't work out. But at this point, I need to make a decision so we can get something done. All right, so let's go ahead and authentication. Let's see what we need to do. So I assume we're going to have to use to load up Passport first. And it looks like we're using Redis. I want to check this out and see if they're bringing in. Let's see. All right, that's interesting. Passport. Okay, I may have just changed my mind. Sorry for being so indecisive, but now that I took a closer look at this, I'm not so sure that this will be the easier way of the two, because it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've never worked with Redis, but it does not look like it's built into this package or the Passport package, which means I'll have to install that separately and figure out how to use it. I'm not really looking forward to trying to do that on the stream in the next 20 minutes. Where did I put this? All right, let's see. Now, let's see. Yeah, okay. Maybe we will go with the other module. I was just checking the live chat as well. It looks like you are noticing some additional things. Okay. All right, let's go with this one. It includes some setup for things that this one does not. I would say this assumes some knowledge of other things that I don't have, and this one is more explicit about talking through the steps. So I think we have a better shot at getting this one up and running faster than the other one. So apologies for the misleading title. I can always go back and change that, and I think I probably will after this stream. But I think we're going to end up going with this passwordless. So let's bring the terminal up because we need to install some modules. Okay. Okay, let's see. Let's go with yarn add passwordless, and we also need to add passwordless Mongo store, and this example is saying email to use email.js, but I thought somewhere else it said that you could use SendGrid. Yeah, I think on their main homepage it said that you could use SendGrid with it. I have accounts for both. Let's do email.js for now, because that'll probably be it'll go along better with the but if using my JS code, click this. It'll go along better with their instructions right now on the repo. And I don't think we've set up email.js before on the stream, so if we went with SendGrid, it would just be a repeat of what we had done for the last project. So we'll go with email.js just to switch it up a bit. Okay. And we're going to need to alright, we'll let that do its thing. And then now in our, I wonder if we should do this in our app.js or if we should use another file. I'm not sure. Yeah, let's see how we have this. Maybe we could add this out. Okay. Sorry for all the silence. I'm reading through the documentation. And let's see. And the documentation is very thorough, but to get this set up right now, I think it would be better to take a look at their fully functional example and copy that just to get things going a little bit more quickly. So let's work this in here. We need to, alright, let me see what we have already. We have body parser, express, obviously. We need some more stuff that it's not mentioned. That's interesting. Alright, so basically the example that they've given, the example project, has a lot more going on than what they show in the documentation. So I was hoping the example would let us get started quickly, but now I'm not so sure. Alright, well, let's just get started and get as much done as we can. I always intended this to be more than one part. I figured it would be a 2 or 3 part with multiple streams. So let's do that. So let's just require these things that we need. So let's bring in these. Let me change this to const. Okay, so we've already, let's see, yeah, we did successfully pull in passwordless Mongo store, and email.js. And now we're going to bring in, let's bring this in, change this to const. So if you want to follow along with where I'm at, I'm on that passwordless GitHub repository. I'm going to put the link there in the live chat. And I'm on step 3. Well, I just finished step 3. Well, I'm just going to get all the code in for now. We'll fill in our details later on. I got to, I'll bring up on my other screen my email JS account and get the info that I need. So now we're on step 4. Oops, wrong screen. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to make a mess of this app.js file right now. We can always refactor this and separate it out later on, but just to move a little bit faster for the stream, I'm not going to worry about that for right now. So basically, we've for this step, we are initializing passwordless with this store. All right, and now we're going to set up our token delivery. So all these semicolons are killing me. All right. So assuming that we're going to go with email.js, this is how it's recommended to set this up. Which, at least for now, to test it out, we are going to use email.js. I might switch it up to SendGrid at some point. And then now we're on step 6. We're going to set up the middleware. Okay, I'm going through this pretty quickly, but if you want to learn more about what's going on, you can read all the details that are there for each of these steps. Router. Let's make sure we've set up. Alright, we'll need to. I was just double checking to see if we've done this next step at some point. I'm on step 7. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Harshit saying always use NodeMailer. I'm using email.js in this case because that's what they're using for these docs. So to let me get it set up more quickly, we can always switch up to NodeMailer, after we get this going. Okay. Okay, so we don't have this one right now. Alright, so like I said, we're on step 7 for the router, so let's copy this in. So at this point, I'm copying and pasting a lot from the documentation. Once we get it all in there, and we can give it a test. Then we can go in there and change things if we need to. Where are we at? There we go. And it says in the documentation that we want to make sure we're using body parser, which we are, I believe. We already have. Great, we already have that. Have a fixed list of users. Okay, we're skipping over that second part of step 7 because we don't, in fact, have a fixed list of users. So skip that over. Okay, now it has some code for a login page. I'm obviously not going to use that for our login page because we're using React, so I'm not just going to copy in that HTML. But we can do this in React quickly. Well, let me check my time and see how much time we have. Not that much time. Okay, so we just need to make a very basic form. And let's see. So let's make that basic form. We just need to send it to the send token path, and it looks like it just needs one field. I think we just need to send one field, which will be user, which in this case we're going to use email. Okay, Harsh is saying there's something up with the code, so it's not going to work. Okay. He said, Jesse, I don't think, I think you don't so much back-end stuff. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I'm a front-end developer that does back-end when I have to. We don't have a back-end developer here in my department, so I do what I can. Let's see. So I'm trying to see where these just clients. Okay, so Dragon Hunter says, but you already have a transport that you require on top. Okay, let me check that out. So Okay, yeah, I'm not sure where. I'm trying to figure out where the issue is, but I'm not sure. Okay, Cat D says, if you're using WordPress, isn't there an auth module that you can use? Yeah, so there basically there's going to be, at least in my mind, there's going to have to be two parts. So since the WordPress is like a separate kind of issue, like the first thing is we want to have users authenticated to be able to even access anything within the React portion of it. And then our server is going to make calls to the WordPress installation. At that point, there needs to be something, basically something that makes sure that the WordPress data can only be accessed by someone who's authorized. So essentially, we don't need every user to be able to directly access WordPress. But we do need every user to be able to authenticate to access that React part of it. So maybe there's a better way to set it up, but I don't know that it would simplify things to have the authentication kind of pass all the way through to WordPress, but that is going to have to be a part of it at some point. But as far as I think, not necessarily for the user. Yeah, okay, so Harshit has it. So Harshit's saying you're required to authenticate WordPress on the server only. Yeah, so basically the server on the React side of things has to be able to make requests to WordPress, but not necessarily the user right from the client side. Alright, let's see. Alright, Rook saying you mean it won't work because of the res render? He can switch it to res send for testing. No? An email JS file. Okay. Alright, that's why I'm not seeing it. So it looks like Harshit's saying that the problem was in the email JS file. Okay. Yeah, I'm not. Let's see. Okay, cool. Oh, it looks like Harshit's making a PR right now. So depending on how long that takes, we may be able to just pull some stuff in. So yeah, definitely. You all can see how much difficulty I'm having because, well, number one, I'm not a back-end guy. Number two, this is really all Harshit's work. I haven't done anything with the server or the app.js file for the server. So I'm not familiar with how it's set up. I certainly reviewed everything before I pulled it in. But I mean, you know how it is. If you write it yourself, you're way more familiar with it than if you're trying to add to someone else's code, which is the position I'm in right now. So thank you for all the help, Harshit and everybody else that's adding in. Oh, okay. Eric says, would love to see a flowchart for the authentication on this project. That's a great idea. I should try to come up with something for that because I have a visual in my head of the flow, but it might be a lot better if I could try to put that in some sort of like visual format for you all. Okay, cool. John B spotted a typo. Let me wait. I'm not going to change it right now. I'm going to wait and see what's up with Harshit's next pull request, and then I'll change it. Harshit's also asking, did the mail trap work? Actually, no, I didn't have a chance to get it working before so I just had to come straight from the meetings and started the stream, so I didn't get a chance to even test it out. Aside from like the very first test I did that did not work. let's see. I can give it a shot. I currently have the info. Let me make sure that I have a can I open this? There we go. I don't want to show everybody my my .m file, so I'm moving it to my other screen, and I'm going to open it up there just to make sure that I have, okay, I do have the right stuff in there. Actually, I did. I changed my password and username, so let me update that. Okay. Save that and oops. Let's make sure. I lost my. Whoa. Oh, I know why, because I just messed it up with all this stuff. Obviously, I just added a bunch of stuff. Alright, so I'm going to remove the stuff that I just did because we have a pull request that is on its way. I need to get this working at least. Let's see. And I'm not that worried about getting rid of this because realistically I just copied and pasted some stuff. I didn't even make any modifications, so it'll take about 3 minutes to get all that stuff back in there again if I need to. Let's see. That was everything, right? Yeah. Let's just give it a little restart here. See if that fixes things. Yep, there we go. I'm going to try to submit an announcement. Whoa. Let's submit that. Alright, that's probably not going to work because if it was going to work, it would have worked already. Okay, my timer did go up, so let me do another 5 minutes. Let me see what time it is. Okay, let me do another 5 minutes, and let me go back up to where I left off. 304. Okay, Arvind says, is the initial setup done? Yeah, the setup for this project, it's done. If you go back and watch some of the previous streams, you'll be able to check out the initial setup. So this is project 4. So if you go back to project 4 day 1, then that'll be, obviously the starting point. Sebastian says, don't you need a database to store data with Passport? Yes, I would assume. I think that's where that we were bringing in that Mongo store. Okay, cool. Gideon's watching. So glad you could join us. Gideon says, so late once again. Don't worry about it. I was late to my own stream. Xavier says, just use the honor system for auth. Yeah. Why don't I just make one password, and then I'll just email that password to everybody at the university, and then it'll be easy, right? It'll just be really basic. We'll just have like username, user1, and password 1234. Right? Obviously, I change it because I just told you that password, so that could work. Actually, believe it or not, I've seen systems like that where we have something that's password protected, but literally the password is shared with everyone that works at the university. Oh, okay. So a few you're talking about using JWT, so JSON Web Tokens. So Radrangshu says JSON Web Tokens could work with just email. Just validate the email for a valid one. Eze says, is there a reason you don't want to use JSON Web Tokens? Since the university has an email address, send the link to the email, and that should do the job. I guess so. Let me think how I want to do this. Okay, so let me think through, and you all know I'm no expert on JSON Web Tokens and how to set that up. So you all, if you've used them, help me out here. So the flow for the user then would be, they go to the site for the first time, they put in their email address, we send them an email. Then they would click the link in that email. Then that would take them, that would basically have the token that would validate them. At that point, we would then have to store, we would have to store that data for that user, and then if I want to keep them logged in, we'd have to store in local storage or as a cookie or whatever some data for that user in their own browser, and then when they try to come back, we check for that. Is that correct? Is that how the flow should work? And if so, would it be easier to just implement something very simple like that on our own, or should we use one of these other solutions? Arvind says, I think you should consider using the mapping of email with phone number if it ever be necessary to send SMS. Considering this, we can proceed with passwordless, I guess. Can we start now, please? Yeah. Yeah, with the SMS, maybe we could have the option for users to link it to their phone number, and then I guess later on, if they need to log back in, they could choose to get a text instead of an email. That might actually be yeah, that might actually be a nicer option for people who are trying to use their cell phone. Okay. Okay. Okay, so it looks like in regard to the JSON web tokens, that may end up being the simplest way to do it. But we'll see, because Harshit's working on this pull request, so maybe I should see about that first. Okay, let's see. So I guess what are we gonna do? I don't know that I don't want to put pressure on Harshit to try to push something out this quickly. So I don't know if we should wait for that. Probably not. All right, I tell you what. Let me just go ahead through. I know the timer went up, but let me just finish up with all the questions in the live chat here, and then we'll see. If I finish up the questions and we have something from a pull request, maybe we'll check it out. Otherwise, maybe we'll just have to postpone work on this. So. Yeah, so sorry I didn't really get that much accomplished, but we did sift through a lot of options and got a lot of different ideas on what would be the best way to do this. So it was productive in that sense. Let's see. I did think I'd have more time beforehand to get some things ready, so it just didn't happen. Oops. 329. Oh, cool. Blake says, hey Jesse, I submitted a pull request on the freeCodeCamp guides. Can you check it out to see if it reads well and is helpful? Link. Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out. Not right now, but maybe after the stream I could check it out. I just saw this from Harshit. He says the passport module, so the passport passwordless repo, says it looks hacky. They are using passwordless internally. That's crazy. Arvind says, I think we have only Harshit in the house who knows passwordless better than any. We should listen to him. He may guide. Yeah, it does seem like Harshit has some experience with using passwordless. Oh, okay, cool. Dragon Hunter. Unfortunately, I didn't catch all this earlier when I was actually doing some coding. But Dragon Hunter said you already have NodeMailer set up. You can use that transport. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We were already using it for the other emails. So in our email.js, we're already bringing in NodeMailer. So could have used that. like I said, my intention was to set everything up exactly like it was in the documentation for passwordless, thinking that that would allow us to at least have something to test out as quickly as possible. Yeah, let's see. Bojan says, "Boy, that is a mess of code." Yeah. James says, "High school in 2003. I'm about to show my age. High school for me was 94. Computers were not even a consideration when I was going to school." And Brett says, "I'm way older than James." It's always interesting. I wonder what age range we have in here. I know I'm pretty sure we've had people who are like less than 10 years old. I can't remember the exact age, but we had some people that were really young, and I think we've had people in their 60s on the stream. I think it's cool that we have such a big age range and a range of people from different locations around the world. That's awesome that we all kind of work together, on these projects. Cat D says TGIF. Thank goodness it's Friday. Yeah. Okay, Dragon Hunter says, "Why not an authentication microservice, which will route each request, a separate one?" Is that tell you the truth, I don't know enough about it to know whether or not which one would be better or which one wouldn't be better. Oh, okay, Umberto says, "When using Microsoft SQL, we make a service account for the server machine to the database." Okay, cool. That's kind of what I was thinking we'd end up doing with the WordPress, is that we would have a user account on WordPress that would just basically just be for our server to connect to WordPress. So I'm glad to hear that that's how it's done in other places as well. Because I mean, it seemed like it would work to me, but I wasn't sure that that would be the proper way to do it. Oh, and Umberto says, "And the application controls what data the logged in authenticated user sees." Yeah, definitely. That's how I was thinking that it would work. So I'm not crazy. That's a legit way. Okay, I'm getting towards the bottom of the live chat. Just going to check to see if there's any more questions. Okay, we got, so Arvin says, okay, I might be a noob, but don't worry about being a noob. I'm a noob at many things as well. Um, but it says, I might be a noob, but I just want to know how to make multiple single-page applications in a website. What I basically mean is I should be able to do single-page application stuff in multiple pages in the website. What I'm basically confused about is how do you segregate multiple modules and associated controllers and factories? Okay. Well, I mean, so you want to have a website to where different routes in the site, so I guess different subdirectories would be their own single page applications. That's what I'm getting from this. If that's not what you're saying, then please let me know. I mean, I guess as long as you have something that's sitting in front of your multiple single-page applications that's routing it to the different ones. I mean, you could separate them out like that. So I'm not. I guess it's hard for me to say without kind of seeing more like what you're trying to do. But whatever routing system that you have. Just have the various routes go to different applications. So I'm thinking like usually. I mean, potentially, depending on what you're using, you could have. So you could have it set up so that, all right, so usually how we set up our projects when we're using React and Node is we have Nginx as a reverse proxy. Potentially we could, at that level of Nginx, route traffic to different Node installations, different React apps based on the URL. So I mean, you could do something like that, or at the level of Node, and Express, you could route things to different places, at that point. I'm just not exactly sure, what you're kind of looking for in terms of how it's going to function. I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding things. If anyone else has some more information, and I'll check down here. It looks like, all right, it looks like I got some more info here. Okay, so Arvind is saying, I'm basically using Angular 1, I'm running it, and it uses the controller and factory concept to send, receive data into my view. Let's say I have 5 pages in my web app, and all are single-page applications, meaning every page has, say, 4 routing, so collectively there are 20 routes as a whole. How do people manage to separate modules for each page? Oh, okay. I have very, very little experience with Angular, so I don't know that I'm the best person to handle that question. If we have any Angular people, let's see. Okay, so Dragon Hunter seems to have some answers here. So saying if it's the same app, the routing is handled by the client app. If it's for multiple apps, you can use Doku. Which I've never used that before, and says in each app could be in a subdomain. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Okay. Okay, cool. So thanks, Dragon Hunter, for those answers. Yeah, I'm definitely not. I'm not very knowledgeable about Angular stuff, so I will definitely admit when I don't have enough knowledge to answer a question properly. Oh, okay. We have some ages here. So 17, 24, 35, 30, 26, 20. I'm 31. I'll actually be 32 next week. What's the day? I'll be 32 on the 29th of October. So soon. Oh, okay. Harshit says the PR is almost done. Paco says, you know, the last commit from Angular was in 1886. They are still debugging the code at Google. I don't want to get into any JavaScript framework wars here. John B says, I believe you mean 1861, Paco. That's when the great Angular Civil War started, when Angular 2 changed the routing module. It says, and React sitting looking at Angular and all its version with a big smile. Eric says AngularJS +1, still learning more about React, but it looks really great. MD says hi. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Oh, cool. Blake says I'll be 15 in a month. Awesome. Actually, Blake, you might be the youngest one in the stream. So, cool. Awesome. Okay. Let me, I think... We're at the bottom. Alright, I'm at the bottom of the live chat. I've gotten through everything. So I know Harshit's pretty close to finishing up this pull request, but I'm not sure. I'm going to wait around for it. Maybe if I had eaten something today, I might wait around for it. But I'm really hungry, so I might end this stream. Let's see. It looks like there's still some conversation going on here in the live stream, but no questions. So, yeah. So I think there's definitely going to be a part 2 to the authentication, and maybe down the road even a part 3 if we end up switching to something else. So, all right. So. My energy level is is low, so I probably wouldn't be very productive if I even tried to do anything at this point. So, Dragon Hunter says, start a little Express project. Let's try passwordless. I can't. I don't have the energy right now. So yeah, all right. So it's Friday, right? So I'll be back Monday. Have a great day. Yeah. So sorry, didn't really accomplish anything, but we'll give it another go on Monday. Probably Harshit will have some code for us to review, and you know, if anyone else has any ideas for, you know, what to do for authentication, you know, I'm still open to that as well. It's very much still, you know, up for discussion. So I'll be back next week. Have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks for watching.